Welcome back to BRAP. We are live, and we got a great show in store for everyone. And good thing you didn't. We weren't. Well, good thing we weren't broadcasting live about 3 minutes ago because things were a little interesting.
Good pre-show.
Yes, good. Oh my God, I can't even tell you what just popped in my mind. You said pre-show, Dreamcast guy. It's not a good thought, but we got Dreamcast guy with us tonight. We got the Mooch, who's filling in for Mr. Eric Jackson. Going to be woo! And Slow-Mo just joined us. But you know what? Let's go ahead and officially, if I could do it. Oh, I can't right now because it was going on my computer. All right. So I can't officially do anything yet. Can you guys hear me, though?
Yeah.
Yes,
perfect.
we can.
We can hear you, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So my program just froze. So apparently everyone can hear me. Slow-Mo, let me just tell you something. I miss you, sir.
Oh, I missed you too, Enrique.
Yeah.
In a completely platonic way, but yes, I missed you as well.
That's how you should start a show. I like that.
Oh no, we lost BRAP. This is still
Oh man! Look, I knew it was coming.
Right?
You know, we were due. You know, as soon as he was like, "Can you hear me?"
No.
Like,
Wait, I hit the button by accident. I hit the refresh button. So I needed to do that. But let's go ahead and get the show started officially right now. All right, so this is like our first Wednesday show of the new year, and I want to say Happy New Year to everyone. Happy 2021. Welcome to New Game Plus, by the way. Just throw that out there. Anyhow, we have a great show in store for everyone. We have returning guests. We have Dreamcast Guy joining us. Dreamcast Guy, welcome back to BRAP. How are you today, sir?
pretty good. Playing too many video games, just hanging out. Totally addicted to Risk of Rain 2, so I'm just playing outdated games before the new releases begin.
I hear that. Nothing wrong with reaching back into the backlog or, trying games that may have, maybe slipped under the radar a little bit. So that's awesome, man. Welcome back to BRAP. And then we also have the Mooch filling in for Mr. Eric Jackson. Woo! Mooch, what's going on, man?
What's up, buddy? I'm kind of glad that Dreamcast guy just said that. I'm doing something similar. Like, before we get the big titles of 2021 that are going to be coming out slowly but surely as we creep into spring, I'm enjoying Ghost of Tsushima, and I'm really going through it. And I know you guys talked so much about it the end of last year, and shame on me for waiting. But when I found out that the PS5 was going to get to 60 frames, it was a no-brainer to wait. So I'm doing that, and then I'm really music to DC's ears. Right after I get done with this, I'm going to start Final Fantasy VII. Not the remake. I'm going to go Final Fantasy VII, the one that you did a review on, DC, I believe, earlier in the year, or was it last year, when it came out on Switch and PS4, when they brought the original one to PS4. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that forward and play that again before we go into our new game. So, yeah, it is a time to kind of get some games that you wanted to play. I wouldn't use the words out of the way, but get that backlog kind of tucked away and neatened up a little before we jump into 2021. So it'll be interesting. And with the news we're going to talk about tonight, BRAP, 2021 is getting exciting right off the bat.
It's going to be great.
Of course it is.
We want to get the super chat real quick. Dark CI with the $2 super chat, or $2 euro, I should say. Happy New Year to all. May 2021 be great. Thank you. Appreciate the super chat. And Dark, thank you for watching my Sekiro stream the other night. Streamed that for a little bit. Beat the armor knight as he kicked him off the bridge as he yelled, "Robert!" Figured out what that actually meant. Dark, I know we're talking about the live chat. So anyhow, want to introduce the rest of the panel. We have my man who caught some heat for making jokes about police officers the other day. Slow-Mo Backslap. What's up, Slow-Mo?
I did. I caught heat. I didn't know this because as soon as people was like, yeah, I just blocked them. So like I didn't finish their tweet. I'm pretty sure they thought they were saying something that was pretty nice, but sorry, I completely missed it. I blocked you. Never going to unblock you. You don't exist to me anymore.
Jeez.
But I've been great. I actually, interesting that Mooch brought up Ghost of Tsushima because I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima too because I never finished it. And
So good.
I just got so caught up with other stuff as I was playing
So
Ghost
it's so good.
last year. It's amazing.
good.
Yo, playing it with 60 frames.
Woo! Somebody let
yo.
Ubisoft know that's how you make a game like that. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah, absolutely.
True.
That is the perfect open world,
Yes.
big map,
Thank you.
time to do stuff kind of thing. It's perfect. It is. Ghost of Tsushima is perfect. Ubisoft kind of big map, tons of stuff kind of do thing. Plus the story, amazing. I'm really enjoying. I think the story is really underrated. I know some people was like, "Oh, it's
it's so
typical,
No.
your typical revenge story." I'm like, "Nah, this is."
No. Yeah. Oh no.
I appreciate Sucker Punch's. They went so in depth in showing you what that time period in Japan was really like, and getting into the details of the island of Tsushima, and just it's so good. It's really good and a beautiful game. Just I'm just really enjoying it. I've been I'm just getting into Act 2 now. Like before when I played it, it was like I started it out and I thought I was far, but I was really just doing a whole bunch of side stuff, not really understanding that. I dropped it. When I came back, I said, you know what? I don't even remember what was going on. Let me just start over. And so I started over, and it was
the biggest problem, Slow-Mo, and BRAP, I'm sorry to take over on the Ghost of Tsushima part of the show you didn't have planned, but what Slow-Mo's talking about, that's right. I gotta agree with him. You know, I'm also in Act 2, and I'm trying to make sure I complete everything. So I'm doing all the side quests. My only gripe, I'd say, is I don't know if you guys ever saw Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield, but at the end he goes, "I got one question for you," and he's like, "Okay, go ahead." And he's like, "In 27 parts. These side missions are 9 parts a piece. You're killing me, Small."
The one side mission where you're talking to the archer dude, he's like, I need to go after my apprentice. She has betrayed us all. I'm like, all right, let's get her.
He sounds like that too, by the way, Slow-Mo.
Next time. We will get her next time. No, now she's right there.
He's like, come back later after I eat food. Like,
I'm like, no,
let's go get her right now.
Yeah, she's right. She's literally like right up that mountain.
She's right on the mountain.
Like, let's go knock her out right now. She's clearly going to kill a whole bunch of more people by the time we get to her.
Yeah, she's on her 5th genocide. Maybe let's go get her.
She's like, no,
we must wait.
Patience, kid.
Patient. We must wait for the owl. The owl.
That is the one thing that I kind of like. Man, I can definitely tell. Like, but I'm not gonna catch this heifer to the end of the game. Right? I can tell it now, you know. But and I'm kind of like already kind of seeing some things like with the uncle. You know, like I'm like, man, he every time he ends a sentence, he's like samurai, like, you know, like, I know you out here, you know, messing up, Jen. You out here stabbing people in the back, assassinating people. That's not the samurai way. Every
uncle not happy.
Like samurai. I'm like, dude, I get it. Okay, you don't like how I'm doing things. All right.
You remember the way of the samurai. Remember? Have you got the part? I don't want to spoil it. Never mind. There's a part where his uncle like wants to do something the way of the samurai, which is totally stupid if he does it.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
So you want to die is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically.
Right.
Right. We're a samurai though. Like, just like, nah, dude. We're not
doing this like samurai. I'm like, dude,
we're not gonna do that. Like,
in the beginning of the game, you sent your best samurai out there and he got burned like a chump. Like, you stop being an idiot. It's just like, I mean, being a samurai doesn't mean you just run into a brick wall until it finally falls over. Like, the brick wall is never going to fall over. Okay, you're just going to die.
Get slap like samurai with honor.
With honor. The enemy doesn't care about your honor. They're drinking your sake and they're killing you. Come on.
I gotta ask you a question. Are you playing with Japanese voice acting turned on?
No.
Dude, I'm telling you,
I am enjoying. I think the voice acting's awesome.
It's
like,
good.
The English voice acting is really good.
But in Japanese, there's just like this behind it. I don't know. It's really good.
I'll try it next. You know, you could just change it at any point.
Yeah, you can change it.
Yeah, so I'll try. Next time I play, it probably would be tomorrow. I'll probably see how it feels.
Okay, yeah. So I do want to move on. It's a great conversation, by the way. I will move on to the rest of the panel here. We got my man B Money 101. B, I'm still coming for you, but I'm playing Sekiro right now, so you got to wait.
Oh, that's quite all right, man. Because I haven't been playing much of anything lately, so that's all good.
No doubt, man. No doubt. And then we have the one, the only, Mr. Gaming Forte. What's up, Forte?
What is up, gentlemen? How are you today?
The laugh.
Was that supposed to be like a Mario laugh? Like,
I know, right?
What kind of laugh that was?
Hey, it sound like more like Mickey Mouse. So what's up, Forte?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. Good to see you, man. I missed you. I want to hug you, but I can't.
Yep.
No comment.
He's like, well,
Okay.
Like, I don't have the bro hug DLC. Sorry, I have to wait till next year.
Right. All right. Like I said, we have a great show planned tonight. We have some really awesome topics to discuss. There's some big news coming out of Bethesda Games, and could potentially have some impact as it relates to the Xbox. The announcement of Indiana Jones video game. We'll talk about that, and
Ubisoft.
And what about Ubisoft?
They also got some big news too.
Oh yeah, Ubi. That's right. Ubi has some big news. We'll talk about that, and then Nintendo showed us a new Nintendo Switch, which, like I said, looks kind of sexy. And then I do want to let's talk about Mass Effect, because the Mass Effect Legendary Edition got its release date. And look, I love the Mass Effect franchise, but we know about what it's known as Andromeda. I think there's only one person on planet Earth that thinks Andromeda is the best of the Mass Effect games, and that's no other than our good friend Rich Hogue from Hogue Law. That's it. He's serious about this,
and he was high when he said that. So
I don't. He must be high a lot, because I've heard him on multiple podcasts say that.
Oh man,
if you like Andromeda, that's cool. It's just that's your thing.
So people like getting kicked in the nuts. I guess it's to each their own.
They're samurai. So
right.
So well, look, I mean, I love Mass Effect. Great franchise. I would list it as my top franchise of last generation. I don't see any other gaming franchise from last gen that could at that level, at least in my opinion.
It's one of the best video game universes, in my opinion, because I ended up reading the Mass Effect comics and the Mass Effect books. It's crazy how well constructed it is. Yeah, and the books are fantastic. It's the only time I've ever read a book and then went back to the game and I was like, oh my god, this improves an already perfect game.
Yeah, what I love when they make novels based off of the games, especially when the lead writer of the games is writing the novel. So you look at Dragon Age as well, which is also by BioWare, but as well as Mass Effect. The lead writers for those series was David Gator and Drew Karpyshyn. And Drew Karpyshyn wrote the majority of the books for the he didn't write the last book, which that book is we kind of act like that book doesn't exist, but the other books he wrote, and you could just see how, because it's his universe that he created, so everything ties in so well, that everything is so interesting, and when you're so invested in the story, it's just great content. I'm really excited, but then at the same time, I'm a little concerned about this remaster. I mean, it's supposed to be coming out in like 2 months. Have we seen a screenshot, a clip, or something?
I don't think so.
There were some leaks a couple of years ago when they actually started this project. It sounds like it's going to be pretty straightforward. This is going to be a real bare bones remaster, but it's mostly a re-release, and personally I'm fine with that. Like the fact that it's just going to be the games we already know put onto current gen or put onto PS4 and Xbox, and all the DLC included. I mean, that's all I needed.
Yeah, it's like a love letter to the fans, but it would have been nice if they up the mechanics a bit on the original Mass Effect. I love
Oh my god,
Mass Effect 1 has not aged very well.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to go back to. So if it's going to be one of those where they just kind of copy paste it for the sake of having it on today's generation, I agree with DC. I'll probably pick it up just for keepsake, but I don't know how excited I'd be to jump back into Mass Effect 1. But I know you guys are huge fans.
Yeah,
much larger fan than I am of that.
Yeah.
I play through the trilogy once a year. So
Okay, I'm not that's a bit much,
Yeah.
but I like them.
That's
I,
like
I have a
because you're a
Mass
samurai.
Effect- I have a Mass Effect mug, hoodie, and T-shirt.
Yeah,
Oh my god, you die hard, man.
when I used
Yes.
to, I was into bodybuilding for a couple of years. You can't tell now because I'm a little twig bitch. But originally, what I would do is I'd go to the gym and there was a
You're a
Mass
samurai.
Effect app, and on the Mass Effect app, there were these hundreds of audio logs that would tell you about the universe, and it was just
Nice.
super cool. And by watching and listening to them, it would actually boost your war effort stuff, so you could get the true ending of Mass Effect 3.
For
So
Mass
at the
Effect
gym, I
3,
listened to it.
yeah.
Really,
Okay.
I didn't know the listening could do that.
Wow.
That's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. But let me ask you guys something. Like given the Andromeda and that kind of what I would call debacle, do you think this is going to be, because we know that we saw the teaser, right, for Mass Effect at I forget what show it was now. I'm drawing a blank here.
VGAs.
VGAs. Thank you, Slow-Mo.
Mhm.
Do you think that this is going to kind of reinvigorate the fan base and people's interest in Mass Effect? Or is it just going to kind of just fly under the radar?
I think it will. So I'm very interested in this project, and I have a lot of hopes. There's one thing I think in the gaming industry, it's definitely pressure makes diamonds. The more emphasis on your reboot or remake or dramatic sequel after taking a break, it needs to be good, and sometimes it does. I hope that this is like God of War, where Kratos goes away for a while, and now they bring it back, and it's a very different direction. And apparently, they've already said somewhere that it's going to be back in the Milky Way. I think we're going to be kind of near Earth, so it is going to be kind of cruising around the territory we know, but probably with a new cast of characters or something. And that seems great. I'm curious to see what it ends up playing like. Like, more than just the story, I'm kind of curious because part of my problem with Andromeda was just that it was a super bland third-person shooter. It was super bare bones. It was so obviously unfinished. I want it to be more fleshed out.
Yeah, that's a
You
great
mean
point.
the story or the combat?
I thought the story was also bad, but I thought the combat in Andromeda was very strangely bad.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually think the combat in Andromeda is the best in the series, but it's also the only thing that the original Mass Effect team actually completed before EA came in and told them to go do Anthem, and then put the I would say the D team, which was BioWare Montreal, on full time as the main studio working on Andromeda, which they completely botched everything else. But like, the reason why I liked the combat so much was, yeah, it was your kind of your third person shooter kind of stuff. But I mean, also most of the combat for the entire series has always been kind of like a third person shooter kind of stuff. But what I really liked about it was how you had that AI in your head, and the AI allowed you to kind of switch combat profiles on the fly, so you can go from a soldier to a vanguard to an engineer in just seconds. And I remember fighting some huge monster in the desert. I can't remember why I was fighting it. The story was so bad, who knows?
Right.
I don't even think the characters knew why they were fighting it. And I remember like switching it up depending on where the what state, what form the monster was in, switching from engineer to kind of blow up parts of it, and then switching to soldier very quickly. And it's just like that kind of depth I really enjoyed. It was a little bit different for Mass Effect. I know it's definitely not everyone's cup of tea, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. And that's probably the only thing about Andromeda that I like.
Remember, I mean, I beat that game 4 years ago or something. Like, how long ago did that come out now?
Yeah, it's about 4 years ago. It was
Yeah.
about 2016, I think.
I've beaten like 300 games since then.
Yeah, it's all foggy at this point.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
My old brain.
Much like that story, it's all
Yeah,
foggy.
all I remember was that the ending was a big octopus. I can't remember a single other thing about the plot.
Yeah, that oh man, that game is so bad.
Let me ask you guys something. Is any I know. I think so. I think I might know the answer to this question. Your answer to this question. Any concerns about the old BioWare team, the old band, the OGs as I call them, like the Laidlaws and the other guys that were involved in Mass Effect, not being part of the newer Mass Effect? I mean, like BioWare isn't at least in my opinion, not the BioWare that I grew up loving. Right? That BioWare is gone. Thanks to EA.
The lead director for the new Mass Effect game is Mike Gamble, who has been there since since the creation of BioWare. He's like the old foggy. At this point, he's probably the most senior director they got at this point, and he's running everything at this point. So I like the choice of him, running it. Although I'm still somewhat. I don't know what's going on. Because, look, BioWare, the reason why we loved their games in the past was because their stories were amazing. And yes, the gameplay was decent, good, but every developer has kind of like something that they do that's just so unique and powerful and great that no one else in the gaming industry, no other developers can match them in that. And BioWare used to be like that with stories. Knights of the Old Republic, Jade Empire, the older Dragon Age and Mass Effect games. Like they amassed a certain reputation for a reason. And they completely killed all that with games that had really ho-hum, completely boring and forgetful stories in Andromeda and Anthem. And so now it's like you got to prove that you can still do what people said really enjoyed about your games. All of your big time writers no longer work for you anymore. So who did you replace them with? And can they actually deliver? And that's still going to remain to be seen. And as far as like the new Mass Effect goes, now as far as this trilogy, the remaster, this could reinvigorate people, especially newer gamers who weren't around or gaming back when these games were brand new. This could really, get them, engaged into the entire trilogy, especially if the game isn't a buggy mess when it comes out. Because literally everything else is done. It's been done by the better guys back in the day, so you didn't have to write anything. You didn't have to create anything really. You're kind of touching up and remastering something that's already kind of a masterpiece. So like, how can you screw this up? But I mean, if the game comes out and people can't play it, yeah.
I got concerns about Mass Effect 1.
Don't say that too loud.
Look, I would rather people be prepared for that.
Right?
Before it comes out.
It's being produced and published by EA.
Yeah.
God, EA's boo-boo butter. Just terrible. Ugh. We'll talk about EA.
They've been better as of lately, though.
Yeah, better than what? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Trying to give him a man. I'm just trying to give him a win.
Better at nothing.
Wow.
I think everyone would agree on this podcast. EA is like, yeah,
pretty bad.
It's because they cater to their investors. They don't really seem to be too
concerned.
with
At least Activision puts out some decent content, right?
They
publish Sekiro.
The good thing EA has done is buy Respawn.
EA should do better. I think that's the thing, is that if you have like $11 billion, we expect more bangers. I'm not going to act like every game they put out is trash. They put out a lot of like C-tier stuff. It's just that if you're the biggest game publisher, you expect some decent stuff more frequently. They put out a lot of bombs.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Go ahead, EP Money.
No, I was just agreeing with Dreamcast.
Yeah, it's just, they... And maybe that's a good segue here with regards to, I know you mentioned this, Slow-Mo, about Ubisoft, and I was like, what? And then I realized what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But, I almost have to, so I think it's been like eight years of exclusivity with EA and, Star Wars. Thank God Lucasfilm is partnering with people now.
Yeah.
My goodness.
The reason why my name tonight is Slow-Mo Damas is because I said this was going to happen. I said
you said it a while ago.
And people came at me like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you said because of Disney. You said Disney Disney owns them. They're not going to let this is their big franchise. They're not going to let.
I kind of felt it was like that for two reasons, and the first reason was that whole phone call. Remember when the whole Battlefront 2 fiasco happened, with the whole beta and all the microtransactions, and really what really pissed people off was microtransactions, loot boxes to improve your ability to win in PvP, which is a big no-no. Like you can do stuff like that in PvE.
It's pretty egregious.
PvP. Yeah. No, that's a cardinal sin, right? So all the big backlash, the what was at that point a EA statement responding to the backlash that ended up being the most disliked
Reddit, most
thing on Reddit.
Most downloaded Reddit comment of all time. That was
of
so
all
funny.
time, like in like a day, so it's like all that happened. Disney calls EA. And then all of a sudden, EA does an about face on everything. There were petitions. There were people saying, I'm not going to buy your game. EA was like, screw you guys. We doing what we doing. Disney calls, everything changes completely. I'm like, that kind of seems pretty serious. Then at like months later, I think it was Andrew Wilson, the CEO, came out and was talking to basically bad-mouthing the contract, which he didn't sign. He became CEO after this deal was already in place, but he was bad-mouthing it as something that they're not even making a lot of money off of it. So I'm looking at like, oh, so maybe that's why you canceled like 3 games over the past, so years, and then didn't allow BioWare to do a Knights of the Old Republic 3. Yeah. And you only seem to be approving of games where you can somehow have a monetary tail to it, that after the game is released, you continue to keep making some revenue off of it because you feel like the split here with Disney ain't that great for you. And so it all made sense. And basically, most of all, who would badmouth a contract with a partner that you're still working with? I'm like, okay, yeah, Disney's done. Disney is not going to. They're going to go back to what they were doing before, what LucasArts was doing before, where they would just find a developer and say, "Can you make this game?" And they would make a great game for them, and they would just pick and choose their moments. And we see it now. They are picking and choosing developers to work with, much like how Disney with Marvel has picked and choose developers and publishers to work with to produce IP, which has worked out well for them. So I knew this was happening because Disney's just not going to sit around. You made 4 games in 8 years and only one of them is really any good. Like, oh, no. Yeah. We can do better, going back to the old way of doing things.
Yeah. This is a big announcement. They're partnering with Ubisoft. More specific, Massive Games or Ubi Massive. They're the folks behind Slow-Mo's favorite game, The Division, and they're looking to make an open world game, and Massive has done a great job making open world games with The Division. I guess I wonder, is it going to be like a Division type of game, like a Star Wars type game, but kind of like The Division, right? With just the Star Wars skin on it.
It could be like some of the same cover shooting the Division has, but then a much better story, because Division story ain't exactly what people play the game for.
I honestly think the best thing to carry over is the art and graphics in Division are just insane. Like you'll see a reflection in a puddle of smoke coming off a car. Like it seems impossibly good graphics. And honestly, that's kind of the thing. I just finished watching The Mandalorian, so I'm kind of back into Star Wars. Good. And I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I'm kind of a fair weather fan, and that's kind of what I want. Is I just want to see a nice, realistic slice of the universe, something that's cool and walk around in. And it doesn't need to have loot crates. It doesn't need to have Jedi. I just want to walk around and shoot a couple people and have a decent plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
The beautiful engine you're talking about with the Division is called Snowdrop Engine, and
Mhm.
it's made Massive Entertainment
Mhm.
made that engine specifically for
better than Frostbite.
Division. It's way better than Frostbite. Yeah, it's great at like those reflections, that screen space reflections kind of stuff. And it's another thing is really great is like dynamic weather effects. If you play Division 1 and 2, you can just stand there, just don't even move, just stand there in the game, and you'll get snowed on. You'll have a blizzard hit you. In Division 2, it will be a rain, fog, and then you'll see how your clothes completely change, like and get saturated with whatever elements hitting you. It's just
I think
amazing.
I remember there was an interview with one of their developers, and I believe they said that they invented like a technology where light physically exists in the world instead of just being theoretical. So that's why they're able to have, like, if there's a smoke cloud and a red light is near it, it'll realistically have the rays going through the smoke cloud and stuff. And it's just, I mean, it's insane. It's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, that attention to detail matters. So if I'm shooting a phaser, or sorry, what do they call blaster? If I'm shooting a Star Wars blast, I'm what do they call the little handguns in that universe?
The blasters. I think they're
Blaster, yeah. All I watch is Star Trek. I'm a faker. But anyways, the Star Wars, yeah. So when they're shooting through it, I want it to look good, damn it.
Yeah, right. And that, I think that's really important. And Snowdrop has just been, I know they're on like version 3.0 now, and it's been improved so much over the years. Like, I'm not surprised at all that's something that was probably a really big part of it. I did read something where, so Julian Garrity, who was the creative director for Division 1 and 2, is now the lead director for this new Star Wars game. And I think either he or someone else with Ubisoft has said that they have been working with Lucasfilm Games on this for a year. So it's already been maybe not in like full-on development, but at least in like pre-production for some time now, which makes sense because their EA Star Wars exclusivity ends at 2023. So this game probably will be dropping sometime like not too long after the contract is up, and then they can get the game out and all that. But
yeah,
I something else that I have found that is that the way Disney does their Star Wars games is that they have full really control of the story. And so what they'll do is like cutscenes and stuff, they'll do that. Like they actually hire people, directly to handle all the cutscenes, the story, the voice acting kind of stuff, and then just let the developer just make the game. Don't have to worry about all the other additional stuff. We'll take care of cutscenes and all that. But of course, you would have to animate characters in real time whenever necessary. But I just think that like that kind of allows the developer to kind of speed the process up.
That can backfire. That was actually my biggest gripe, other than the stupid loot crates, when it came to Battlefront 2, is that Battlefront 2 would have like a super cool cutscene of like Luke walking around on Dagobah, whatever the hell, looking cool, and the gameplay starts, and it's practically a cell phone game of like tap F to win. Like, yeah, what
how'd you like Fallen Order? Did you?
I love
like how they
Order.
did the cutscenes and then kind of cutscenes. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Fallen Order was great. Yeah.
I think they did the smart thing of they gave it a good time period, and they also I think if you're going to play a Jedi, you got to be that overpowered badass. You want to be able to be flipping around and chopping hose up and flying out into space. It was really good.
I think that's kind of one to go back a bit on what DC was saying earlier, and he's like, I really don't need Jedi and this and that. I'm also with you. I'm kind of in the middle on Star Wars. I like Star Wars, but I'm not one of the diehards that you see online. And I kind of disagree with DC on that one thing. That's what makes making a Star Wars game so damn difficult, is you can't just throw a game out there where you're just using like the blaster, right? If you're just a Han Solo, for example, right? No Jedi skills, and you're just a blaster and a guy and a couple of great catchphrases. That works great in a movie, right? And have him do what Han Solo did every 30 minutes. He appeared, did something, and then left the scene. But in a game, you really need that Jedi Force. And if you're not doing the Jedi, and you're also not doing a Jedi that a lot of people in the fair weather fans, the people that are like the top level Star Wars, not the ones that have read the 85 books, that you lose people, and it doesn't gain as much interest. And if you don't believe me, look at Fallen Order, right? So Fallen Order is a very good game, but it just didn't do very well, and did you know why? For the main reason is people were just like, so who's this guy? So who am I? Oh, you're
Where's
Jedi.
Luke? Where's Luke?
Where's Luke? Is he a descendant of Luke? Is he a this? Is he and what's interesting, if people who are listening say, I'm not really buying what you're saying, Mooch, just hear me out. A lot of people with Mandalorian thought that Mandalorian was good. Now you talk to people and they go, oh, it's great. Well, why is it great now? And the first thing that they'll say is, well, did you see the last 3 minutes of the last season too? And you're like, well, yeah. What hasn't happened? So I don't want to do any spoilers if anyone hasn't seen Mandalorian season 2 yet. But something happens at the end that brings the Jedi full front right to the forefront of the show, and it's a beloved character. So now everyone's loving it, right, Brap? So that's my thing. So everyone, I was talking to a lot of people about Mandalorian season 1. They were like, it's okay, it's all right. Now all of a sudden you have that ending in season 2. Everyone's like, I can't wait for season 3. So I think with Star Wars, a lot of developers are kind of, or the story writers, pardon me, not the developers, but the story writers for these games, kind of walk on eggshells because they want to venture out into the 85,000 books that have been written into that galaxy and that world that we can dive into. But you also tread a fine line where once you leave the lineage that is the Skywalker family and you go too far out or too far before or too far after, you lose the interest of a lot of folks. And I think that's a hard thing for some real serious Star Wars fans where they're like, I've had enough of Skywalker. But the rest of the people, the majority of people that are willing to plunk down $65 to $75 for this game, they want the Skywalker lineage. They want that family. They want that. That's what brings them to that universe. You can venture out once you're there. You see what I'm saying, Brap?
I wish you were wrong.
Yeah, a couple things. I disagree with the Mandalorian thing. I think a lot of, at least in my circle, people were saying prior to what you just described, no spoilers either, Mooch.
Right.
They were saying that the show was great. And what
well, go season 1 though, Brap. I mean, season 1.
I thought season 1 was great.
Mandalorian, a fetch quest miniseries.
It was great though.
I thought it was great.
He was like, well, I need a battery for my vehicle, otherwise I can't get this ship to go.
It was like Jin.
We'll give you the battery, but all you have to do is save this planet from destruction. What? It's a battery for shit. You gotta save the planet from destruction? It's like he was doing these insane amount of tasks for like a wrench. I just need a wrench. No problem. You're just gonna beat that creature that lives in a hole that eats people. Okay, no problem.
Dude, true story. That's why I loved it. I just
me too. I loved it.
I thought it was so funny because it felt like a video game show. He like does the side quest and he gets a new set of armor, and now it's now I got the upgrade. I got the talent point for my jetpack.
Right. But Dreamcast guy, but did it make you feel like you bonded with that character more? Because you felt like you were on those quests with them, much like you are in video games.
It made me care in the Game of Thrones way, which is that I felt like this character might die. And I feel like I don't see it on a lot of shows. I like the fact that he's in this universe and he's constantly talking to weird people who talk in farts and stuff. I like that he's just kind of wandering around. And there wasn't space wizards flying in.
That's space wizard. You mean Jedi?
Yeah, the Jedi just literally fly in and like, oh, I have my lightsaber as a boomerang. Whoa! Like everybody's so crazy and different and weird.
My lightsaber's a boomerang.
Don't get me wrong. With DC saying, I as a consumer, I'm sitting there saying, boy, I'd like to buy in on that. But again, I'm trying to think, do I want to play 18 chapters as the Mandalorian where I just get a blaster and a fancy helmet?
No.
I think by the 7th chapter, I'd be like, what else is coming out this month?
I also think, Mooch, I think it depends too. I like the blaster thing. I get that, by the way. That reference. I mean,
blaster go. Yes.
But no, I mean, you're right in that regard. But I think if you put a good story in place, right, and you make interesting characters, I think you could make it work. Now, I do agree with what you said earlier, Mooch, about the Luke Skywalker thing. Like, that's actually a reason why Annie Henning's Star Wars game that she was working on with Visceral. Was it Visceral?
Yes,
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was Visceral. 1313. Yes.
Yes. So they did a like EA did a survey. They surveyed people to see what they wanted in a Star Wars game. Right. And like if it didn't have Chewbacca, Han Solo and
Look,
and Luke Skywalker. They weren't interested,
I'm
right?
not expecting the panel to say, Mooch, you're right, and pat me on the back. I'm just saying, I mean, from watching the early years, okay, all the way up. And if you don't believe me, look at Squadrons, right? So what does that focus on? It focuses on the squadrons and the fights that happen in the X-Wing, etc. And that's fine, but it just doesn't capture the audience that lines up for these movies and watches them over and over again.
I got a solution. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get the Mandalorian and we're gonna give it to Rare, and they're gonna make the game like Banjo-Kazooie. Now, hear me out. What they're gonna do is they put Baby Yoda on your back, so you're going around and you're fighting and you're shooting and stuff. But occasionally, you get to do a double jump, and he force throws you in the air. Or if people fuck with you, you can make a giant force barrier. Yes, that's the game I would play.
I'm down for that.
Yoda and Yi Yi.
Oh my god. That's hilarious. I totally was like visualizing that as you're describing, because my 6-year-old son's been playing banjo recently. So
Nice.
yeah. It's but no, I do I agree with you what you're saying, which, like, I think to the masses it probably wouldn't appeal to people. I think for the diehard Star Wars fan, like if you look at a game like Slow-Mo brought up Knights of the Old Republic, which yes, it did have Jedi. I do think you might need to have Jedi though.
I think that was my point. I mean, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to start with the Skywalker family, right? Yeah. But if you have the Jedi and you have the Jedi Council, guess who eventually ends up showing up somewhere? Maybe Yoda, etc. And
yes,
I was just going back and looking back at the old days, the good old days, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Star Wars and Super Return of the Jedi. Just some of the most classic, fantastic side-scrolling Star Wars you'll ever experience. If you could ever get your hands on that, or you have an original SNES, I do, and you get a chance to play, those are the games I recommend. You go to your local, GameStop. I wish GameStop would do what some of the small mom and pops are doing and start getting some of the real retro games back in stock. I'd like to buy it because we have some great retro stores around me that have these old games. But there's no warranty. There's no real. I mean, they say there's a warranty. It's more like a good luck sticker when you leave if it works.
He said it's a good luck sticker.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, would you like a sticker with that? I'm like, are you going to be here tomorrow if I bring it back? I'm not sure. Rent's going up. So
just bring your receipt with you.
So I would love GameStop to kind of get into that world. I think that would be a nice little niche for them too. But I think that those are the types of games. And when you're that game, you're Han Solo, you're Luke Skywalker, you're all these great characters. And they're iconic. And like I said, I think that's mainstream. Do you have to do that? I know, like the Slow-Mos and the DCs and some of the hardcore guys that really, really know about the books, they're not going to be so in tune with that. But like I said, Knights of the Old Republic does it right, where you can have that console of Jedi, and then it branches out, and maybe you have somebody from the lineage come into it. But that's the difficult part. So when I saw this announcement with Massive and everything going on, I said, hey, this is great for what Slow-Mo had said. Get it out of just EA's hands, put it into talented developers. Now let's see what we can do. Yeah. But really, more interested for me personally, I'm going to be kind of peeling the onion back, BRAP, and looking a little bit deeper. I want to see who's going to be writing the stories for these games, because I think that's ultimately what I'm excited to find out, because they're going to be the make or break. Because Massive's, they're talented. Now, who's going to write a story that keeps you seated for 18 chapters of Star Wars?
Yeah. That's real quick, has anyone played Vader Immortal on Oculus?
No.
A friend of mine has, and he said it's like amazing, but VR, I'm not a big VR person.
Oh yeah, it's Dreamcast guy. It's amazing. Like, you literally, I'm walking around in a spaceship and I'm like, this is fucking cool. And then you meet Darth Vader and I'm like, he really is tall. Yeah, it's just it's awesome.
Oh, I thought I played as Vader and I got to like abandon my kids and stuff. I mean, yeah, fight him's cool.
Real quick, I want to get the super chat from the one, the only, the Ashen Luca with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Luca. Luca, you inspired me to go back and play Sekiro on game consoles on PlayStation 5. Luca says, dude, the time difference is messing me up. I was like, BRAP is on. Hey, my tiny M&M Mooch. Also hit the like button, people. Thank you. Woo! Thank you for that. I didn't know you referred to you as her Italian M&M, Mooch. That's,
I got to give Luca even more credit. She sent the picture out, and she was like, she must have brought her Series X with her. And so she had her name flashed on the front of it. And I love how she had that. It said Luca from the second floor, which is memory of the great MNC show that we've been doing for years. So Luca, thank you. I appreciate that. It was great to see that she still has that as her name on the Xbox. So it's cool.
Yeah. So I think this whole situation with Massive, and I thought it was a really good move for Massive. That might be why Division ain't getting no freaking updates because they working on Star Wars.
I don't even think there's going to be a Division 3, honestly.
I don't either. No. But I do think this is more. I don't think this is mostly about getting it out of EA's hands. I think this is more of a situation where they want to monetize Star Wars yearly. I think they know EA can't put out a Star Wars game every year on a confident level, especially with the type of quality that they probably want from it. That's why you're starting to see them open up the vote. We haven't gotten to it, but you're talking about Microsoft doing, Bethesda doing Indiana Jones, which is a Skywalker Ranch IP when it comes to LucasArts. Then you also got this. I just think they're trying to broaden the horizon and get that game out yearly. And they're just going to put as many developers behind it as they possibly can. So I think that's part of what the main goal is. But I'm not going to lie, not having EA being the only person making Star Wars games is going to be a great thing.
Absolutely. And they did partner. I mean, that's kind of, to your point, Forte, that's how they used to do it back in the days with LucasArts. And LucasArts had their own internal game studios too, but they would partner with other studios to crank out those other Star Wars games. So, look, I'm excited. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'd like to see like a game kind of like focus on the Sith, where you're playing as a Sith Lord. I feel like there's an opportunity ever since. Remember, if you guys remember Knights of the Old Republic, you went to the Sith planet. I forget what it was called.
Corrigan.
Corrigan, and you remember you went to the Sith Temple.
Was my favorite game, so I remember it very well.
It did all the guys it did all the Sith Academy, the Sith trainees. Did they all have gray skin and red eyes?
It was so grimy there. It was just like everyone is basically watch your back. As soon as you get there, everyone is backstabbing someone. The Sith lords are just like, I know my apprentice is going to try to kill me at some point. It's how we do things here. I killed my master. And it's and they had these temples with these statues, and you have to go in. And it's like you will find dead Sith apprentices all over the temple because they failed whatever task they got put ahead of them. It was pretty awesome.
I think that's going to be the problem if they tried to do a Sith focused game. Obviously they did the Assassin's Creed game we played as the Templars, and it seems like a good idea and that worked. But the problem is the Sith are such cartoon villains. The missions would be like, punch 4 babies. It'd be so ridiculous.
Oh my God,
that's true. Although, I remember a specific part. I think this was in KOTOR 1, where you go to, I can't remember the name of the place, but it's kind of it reminded me of Eclipse in Mass Effect, a big space station with nothing but bandits and people go, and you're walking there, and some dude just I can't remember what he was doing. He was either robbing somebody or something, and you have the option to use the force to make this guy jump off the entire station. It was hilarious because you make him do it, and he's visibly you can see him trying not to do it, and then he just runs off and just jumps to his death. And depending on who you have in your party, which is just that was really messed up, man. or if you got some really bad people with you, they're just that was hilarious. I love that. There's some I think Knights of the Old Republic 2, the Sith Lords, really did a great job, and that was done by Obsidian. I think it really did a great job of really showing what Sith are like. And the Sith Lords was basically about former Jedi being kind of stealth apprenticed by a Sith Lord to kind of also use to kind of help protect that Sith Lord from other Sith Lords. And you see all these different Sith Lords and how they got to where they were. It is just man, it's so messed up. And even when you would see yourself as you start to go towards the dark side, you would see physical changes in your body.
Yeah, you
turn
gray and stuff.
Yeah, your eyes all glassy.
You look grumpy. You look like a heroin addict.
Yeah, veins popping all over your face, and it's just man. Yeah, this dark side ain't exactly good for my skin tone.
Right? But they did have, but the Sith, they have really cool force powers. That's why, like, I don't know. I think there's some interesting lore, Star Wars lore, as relates to the Sith that I think, and I haven't read all the books, but I think it'd be kind of cool to outside of maybe punching babies, like Dreamcast guy said. I think that'd be cool to kind of dive into some of that lore. Maybe do Darth Plague, whatever his name is. I forget his name. Yeah, or maybe like a like the Emperor. Do a story about the Emperor, like an origin story or something with him. I don't know. I mean,
a side-scrolling beat 'em up, and we fight the Snoke army of clones. We call it Smoke a Snoke. I mean, there's a lot of options.
Smoke a Snoke. By the way, those Snoke clones really kind of freaked me out. I'm not gonna lie.
That's so weird. Yeah, when you see the tank of them, I was like, I don't like that.
Like, why do they come? Like, why do they come out like that? Like, what?
Yeah. It's like when your printer's running out of ink and the copies look all fucked up.
Right? Exactly. Oh my goodness. Well, good for Star Wars. By the way, Star Wars has been saved from the evil empire, EA. And speaking of evil empires, it's actually not really evil empire. Well, maybe to some gamers they are in an evil empire, but Nintendo just revealed a red and blue Mario Switch edition, which I think looks, in my humble opinion, I think this is the best looking Switch that they've released. Yep. And if it wasn't for the rumors of the Switch Pro, I actually might go out and buy this. I'm not going to lie. And I do want to go to Forte because Forte is our retail expert here. Forte, you think this thing's, probably a dumb question, you think this thing's going to sell out like hotcakes? Forte?
Yo, I was muted. What did you say? I couldn't hear you.
Do you think
you were muted and you couldn't hear it? Which one is it?
I had to literally, I muted my headset.
He was sleeping again.
I was muted. I was deaf, blind, everything. I couldn't hear.
I'm all of the above, Slow-Mo.
I lost my sense of taste. I don't know what's going on. But I'm not bad, man.
Slow-Mo.
Nothing, yo.
Slow-Mo.
So what are you trying to say, Slow-Mo? That's what I'm wondering. That's what I'm trying to hear here.
Does he do this on Crossfire?
This is great.
What's going on here?
All right, Forte. So the question was, because you are our resident retail expert here, with the red and blue Nintendo Switch, do you think it's going to sell out like hotcakes?
Every Switch is going to sell out like hotcakes. That's not going to change. You can't find a regular Switch right now.
That's true.
You can't find no Switch. If you could, I mean, you could find a Switch Lite. That's about it.
But yeah,
is this new red and blue coming the docked?
Yeah, it comes with the dock.
Yes.
Oh, so this is like Forte saying that this is going to sell out quick.
This thing is a looker too, man. It looks good.
Yeah. You're gonna have people going out buying this Switch just to get different colors of the Joy-Cons.
That's right.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. You're right.
I know people that's gonna do it just for that. It's like, I can only get these Joy-Cons with this color. That's how they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Dreamcast guy, I know we talked about this earlier. You said you're not going to buy it, but
I would. I'm still probably going to buy another Switch at some point. I've gotten the Diablo Switch, and I liked that one a lot. I got the new edition of the Switch. I have a Switch Mini, a Switch Lite. If someday they do like a Zelda Switch, I'd probably buy it. Or, of course, my dream is a Final Fantasy Switch or something. But at this point, I think I'm switched out till the Pro comes.
Yeah, I'm with you there. B Money, what are your thoughts, man? I know you are someone that likes to buy multiple consoles, man. And is this something you're gonna out to your local GameStop and buy?
Nah, man, I'm not buying another Switch to the Pro drops.
Yep.
No, that's where I'm at.
Like it looks great, you know what I mean? It's perfect color scheme, you know what I mean, for Mario, but it's not doing anything different for me besides being a different color. So
you know what the worst thing about being like hardcore gamers, like everybody on the panel, we always buy everything right away, right? So the really cool shit sometimes comes out later, and then you're like, well, I just can't justify the purchase. Like I want it, but I can't justify it. I mean, I got the day one Switch when it first came out. I got the Lite. And I'm like, I mean, I think even having two Switches, I know DC will disagree with me here, but having two Switches in the house is probably even excess. But like, Like to have a third one, and then to justify it because it's got a great color scheme. Oh no, that's a lot of money.
Do y'all know Woodhawker beat 'em ups? He has like 35 Switches in his house.
What?
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. But he also has 1 million subscribers that does Switch content. So now anytime he'll go on eBay late at night and find like super cheap people selling just the screens or just the Joy-Cons. So now he's just building an army.
Wow, building an army. Wow.
That's just like a person I watch called. It's like I always watch this person called Erica Griffin. She's the same way. Has a whole bunch of different Switches, like 15 different DS lights and 3DSs. It's people go out and buy this stuff just because they're exclusive to whatever color wave that they are.
Yeah, I mean they do it. I mean, it's really interesting because I feel like with the other consoles, like when they do custom consoles, like like the what's the most recent custom console? Was it the Cyberpunk one, or is there one before?
Yeah.
I don't feel like. I mean, like. I feel like there's when Nintendo drops, I just feel like there's more hype behind the Switch, like like special editions Switches, and like the Animal Crossing one. I know Forte when that dropped, you said that thing sold like gangbusters. I forget some of the other Switches they've come out with. I don't remember them all now.
The Switch is an eye catcher though. So like when you have a different one.
Yeah,
like it stands out. You know what I mean? If you especially if you take it outside, it's like, oh my God, you got the Animal Crossing Switch. Like, people go crazy over just seeing it out in the wild. So I think that's why
that's true.
The hype is a little different.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You can kind of show it off like a pair of new shoes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm with you guys on the Switch Pro. I mean, but I am tempted though. Maybe I thought when I saw that color scheme, I was like, "Woo, this looks good."
My next Switch will be a Pro. It will not be that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm with you guys.
I'm with. I mean, at that point, you're just giving Nintendo money just to give them money. At that point, by just getting this,
they need to come out with more games that I want to play first.
Nintendo smart.
Facts, B.
What did you say, E?
No, B said that. What did you say? You said they want to put up. I forgot what he said now. B,
they need to put out more games I want to play first before I buy another Switch.
Facts, yeah.
True.
Yeah, they've been a little silent on the game front. Like, I'm still waiting on Metroid Prime Trilogy, whatever it is, and Breath of the Wild 2. You
ain't gonna see Breath of the Wild 2 until that new Switch is about to come out.
Yeah,
they haven't even had like a big presentation in a while.
They don't need it, B. They're selling like gangbusters, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't need it.
They still need to show what's coming down the pipe.
But I agree with you, B. I do agree with you. But
the one thing I will give Nintendo credit for is the fact that they can come out with a Nintendo Direct, and we could be thinking they have the craziest, stupid, non-relevant year ever, and then they could do a Nintendo Direct and blow everybody away with one show.
Yeah, they definitely can.
That's all they got to do is just they show one.
Well, I would love to see that happen because I haven't been blown away by anything Nintendo has done in a year and a half.
But this is the thing, though, Slow-Mo. You haven't been blown away because you don't care about Nintendo IP.
Yeah, but they convinced me to buy a Switch based off of second-party games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They haven't released any good second-party games since 2019.
No, they got a bunch of they got a lot of third-party stuff that just doesn't appeal to you.
It's third-party stuff that already came out on other consoles or is coming out a year later.
And for people that want to have that experience on the go, that matters.
All right, I'm talking about me. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going back and playing the Outer Worlds at 480p on my Switch. After I've already
no, I take that back. I bought a Mortal Phoenix. I have a Mortal Phoenix Rising on Switch, and I play it on there more than I do on the Xbox.
Well, you also haven't finished the Mortal Phoenix Rising on.
Oh, I'm almost done with it on Switch.
Well, hey, congratulations.
Now, why
I'm sorry. I'm not buying another Switch.
Why are you playing that on Switch?
Come out
over Xbox or PlayStation? What makes it more alluring?
Well, no, it's more of a convenience thing. It's like I have this complex. If I'm playing on my Xbox, I'm playing games on my Xbox, like I'm playing Destiny, or I'm jumping back and forth. I'll start a Sekiro and stuff like that. And then I just pick my Switch up, and if I don't want to get out the freaking bed and go play something, I'm like, what's on my Switch? And that's where Animal Crossing. And then I was like, oh, I can do a couple of these challenge dungeons because I'm kind of used to playing games like Immortal Phoenix Rising on a Switch because I put over 200 hours on Breath of the Wild, and it's pretty much the same game, just more refined in the things that they allow you to do in the game. So it just feels at home because you don't have to progress through the whole story in this long, drawn out, quest line that they have you. You can do it at your own pace. And I kind of find the Switch to be one of those games that is easier to do that on.
Yeah, I do want to agree with you on the convenience factor, and it depends on the IP. It depends on the game.
Yeah, it depends on the game.
Like I mean, and BRAP knows I've been playing Hades on PC, and I feel like I made a mistake. I feel like I should have bought Hades on the Nintendo Switch.
You should have bought it.
No. PC's good. PC's good movie.
Well, don't get me wrong. It looks like an unbelievable piece of art as I play it on my PC, but I would say that I would probably be playing it 5 to 10 times more if I was playing if I bought it on Switch.
Yeah, no, I can see that. There's
just a convenience factor. And BRAP, if you think about the game itself, it just looks like it was designed specifically for that device. It's probably one of my biggest oopses there in the early 2021.
No, I get it, Mooch. No, I get it. It's definitely one of those games where, like you said, it's not a visually demanding game per se on hardware, so it's one of those games you look at. You know what? This is something I can play on the go. Like it's right. Yeah. No, I completely get it, man.
It's a game where it's a repetitive rinse and repeat. Learn the system, learn the dashes, learn how to take the new abilities, use them, and you get used to it with your mechanics. I would say that I think I would find the Joy-Cons making that a bit more difficult. But I mean, I have the Pro controller, so I would probably use that. I mean, Forte, do you find yourself using the Joy-Cons when you're playing Immortals, or are you using your Pro? He must be muted again.
He must be muted. He can't hear you at the same time.
And he's blind, and he can't hear anything that's going on.
He's at the bottom of the ocean, punching a baby to get a side step.
Yo, when Forte said, and he lost his sense of taste, I lost it. I almost had to mute the mic. Oh, it was so good. The timing was fantastic.
That was fantastic. Yes.
Nonetheless, we'll get back to that on Crossfire, folks.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
All right.
He's going to come back. He's going to come back and say he was attacked by gremlins or
something. Oh my God!
I love it.
I fed him too late. They attacked. Oh man, I am in tears right now. That's too funny. Yeah, it's not as funny as the time that Forte fell asleep on the show, but
it started snoring.
Yes.
No, he lied about it. He was like, I wasn't asleep. Like, dude, we heard you snoring. Okay, he was like, if you weren't asleep, what were we just talking about? And he was just like, I had no idea. Oh man, he probably fell asleep just now too. That's why he probably did. He muted himself.
Yeah, he muted. He's probably laying on his desk, drooling on his Xbox controller. Right. All right, we'll move on for the Nintendo topic. By the way, everyone, we're gonna do a giveaway in the live chat.
No, Yabo.
Oh, there's Funky. There you go.
Oh, it's so good.
We're going to be doing a giveaway in the live chat. We're going to be doing a Mass Effect trivia question. Whoever answers that Mass Effect trivia question will get the giveaway. You'll have to DM me on Twitter to receive the giveaway. BRAP_podcast.
Oh, that's how we're doing it now?
Yeah, because, so I've been getting messages where, people are upset that one guy keeps getting it. Getting the codes and stuff like that. So trying to make it fair so everyone gets a chance. But something tells me that this guy's probably going to get it too, because I think he's just that damn good. Probably has like 8 screens coming up, probably running Python scripts, limo, all
right.
that good stuff, right?
It depends on, like, did you already come up with the Mass Effect question?
I did. Yes, I did. Do you want me to write it in the chat?
In the private chat. Yeah, let's make sure this is not like your, hey, what's Commander Shepard's name? Commander Shepard.
I'm going to do it in the live chat. I mean, not the live chat. I can't spell. Jesus, hold on a sec here. All right.
Oh, that's too easy.
That's you think it's easy?
That's extremely easy.
Really?
Dude.
All right. You think of one then, Slow-Mo.
Okay.
I thought that might be kind of hard. I don't think everyone knows that.
Anyone who's played Mass Effect looks at that character and goes, "Oh, that's." You just look at the character and know who he is.
Is that too easy, Mooch?
It's funny because I'll tell you the truth. I don't know the answer to it, but I know that I do know it because I definitely read and I know who it is, but it's not coming to my mind. So I would not be able to answer it, but I know that if anybody who has been playing anywhere near the amount of slow-mo has, they would
maybe it's super easy for me because I mean,
you are a huge fan of that. You know what I mean?
Maybe I'm a bad. Okay,
no, you know what?
B Money. Do you know the answers to that?
Question.
I know the voice. I just can't put the name to it.
Yeah, I can't put the name to it.
All right. So maybe there's a pretty decent choice. Okay.
All right. So we'll go with that one because I think you might be like, tell me what happened in Act 2, Scene 3.
Yeah.
Right. What was the exact line?
Yes.
Rex said to Shepard when he betrayed him.
Right.
Exact words.
Right. All right. So all right, big news for Xbox, Bethesda Game Studios. Bethesda yesterday tweeted out a picture of a whip and a book, and initially I thought, oh, they're making an S&M game, and then I realized it was Indiana Jones. Well, Mooch, whip, book. I don't know why.
I see the correlation.
I mean, Dreamcast guy was talking about asphyxiation earlier, so just
off-air conversations aren't real.
Yes, right. So, that's great. So
the old choke and stroke.
Oh my god! I got a story to tell you guys offline. Okay. All right, so I'm in tears. Is Forte awake? All right, so Bethesda announced that they're working on actually their Bethesda Softworks studio, Machine Games, is working on they're partnering with Lucasfilm with making a Indiana Jones game, and I gotta say, this is I'm pretty excited about this game. Like, it's Indiana Jones, and immediately, for whatever reason, this always comes into my mind anytime I hear anything related to Indiana Jones. Like, Dr. Jones, the little kid, Dr. Jones, right?
Yes.
Yes. I feel like, and remember chilled monkey brains? Remember when they ate that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, chilled monkey brain. Yeah, and then I never forget when the guy opened up the ark and his face just melted. I mean, that's always a classic scene. But there's one thing. So Machine Games, they're the developer behind. Oh shit! Now I forgot. Thank you, Wolf.
Yep.
Thank you. So there's one thing that there's something in common here with Dr. Jones and Machine Games. Machine Games, Wolfenstein, BJ Blazkowicz does a good job of killing Nazis. And Indiana Jones does a pretty good job of beating them up too. So there you go. But the big question is, well, let me ask the panel something. Is everyone on the panel here excited for this game? Dreamcast guy, I go to you first. It's your special guest this evening. Are you excited about a Indiana Jones game? And do you think it's going to be like Uncharted, Tomb Raider type video game?
I do think it'll probably be third person and have a lot of puzzles. I think people are going to unfairly compare it to Uncharted, but I hope it's going to be different. I'm interested in the idea of this game, but it's hard for me to be super hyped because I've never seen an Indiana Jones movie. None. I've seen 0 of them. So I don't know I know his dad is Sean Connery or something, but I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. Real quick. I don't typically post things that were delivered to us in color, if you know what I mean. But I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Worrywart. This one's for you, Mooch, by the way. It's in Game Pass, so you know that means.
Worrywart. Great to see Worry back out there. Worry makes a good point. It's a valid point too. I think that I put a tweet out earlier today, and it got decent feedback in both camps. To be honest with you, BRAP. And my thought was kind of what DC just said. here's a situation where you have Indiana Jones, and okay, so someone like DC who hasn't seen the movies yet, he knows. But DC, the one thing you do know well enough is it's kind of what Uncharted and Tomb Raider.
Dreamcast, you haven't seen the movies yet?
That's what he just said.
None of them. Yeah.
I must have missed that. Then. I'm sorry. I
Why is everybody asleep?
Like 4K. Sorry, Dreamcast guy. I did.
Okay. So I will say this much though. I think that this could be very, very good. But the one thing I put in my tweet was that I'm hoping that Machine Games will bring something new to the table, so that it doesn't just feel like the third in line behind Uncharted, behind Tomb Raider. Because what is everybody like? I remember friends of mine that never played. This is going way back. They're like, "What's Uncharted?" And I'm like, "Well, it's kind of like an Indiana Jones, right?" So it holds that same pedestal. But, everyone's kind of getting, I think, a bit overexcited. And the reason I say that is this. Forget the game. Forget Xbox, PlayStation. It has nothing to do with that. I always say to people when we see CGIs, like, calm down. It's just a CGI. Like, oh, my God. Like when we saw, like, what was it, Hellblade 2? Oh, my God. That's what the Series X looks like. That's what it looks like. No, that looked like an actress, okay? It looked like it was a Hollywood movie that we got a cutscene from. It's a CGI. That's not what the game itself, when you're moving her around, it's not going to look like her when she's doing that weird thing with her mouth where she's like screaming. That's not the game. That's a CGI or it's a cutscene, whatever. Okay. Yeah. So this is the predecessor to the CGI. This is just a panorama of a camera taking a picture of a book and a whip and a pair of glasses, and then the and that was it. And everyone's like, Mooch, aren't you excited? I mean, get on the train. The train's taking off. And I'm like, but we haven't seen any. I haven't even seen a CGI. Like, so I'm normally like, I temper my expectations with CGIs. I don't care what platform it's on. And, that's the same thing I'm going to say here. So I'm excited. I think we're years away. And I'd also like to see what is Machine Games bringing to the table in this genre that doesn't make it feel like another Uncharted or another Tomb Raider. And when people don't understand what I'm saying is this, there's a lot of people that love Tomb Raider, but everyone will say that Tomb Raider just doesn't do as well as Uncharted. It just doesn't. Like Shadow of the Tomb Raider didn't do well at all in sales. Why? I don't know why. Maybe because it's too close to what Uncharted's doing. So my tweet was, I just hope that Machine Games separates themselves enough in the genre and brings something new to the table so that it's not considered like Uncharted, Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to come out and be in third place in that genre. So what are they going to do? And people are like, well, Mooch, they might make it a first-person shooter. That's not necessarily what I'm looking at. Like, because when you think about Indiana Jones, it really was a lot of melee, a lot of that it's car or vehicle escaping, horseback ride escaping, or the whip, and it's not. Did he use a gun? He used it sometimes, but very rarely. That was what made Indiana Jones so great. He didn't just shoot the bad guy. I know there's that one scene that everyone's seen online that was very comical, but the reason it was
the guy with the sword.
Right,
got
right.
the sword.
I love that scene. The guy comes out and he's all like, he just pulls out the gun and shoots him.
And that's the thing. So what makes it so funny and so comical in that scene is that it's one of the only times he uses a gun, because you weren't expecting him to pull the gun and shoot him. And it's funny. But but that's the thing. So the story matters a lot, absolutely. But they have a lot of background. They have a lot to grab from Indiana Jones. So that's great. But how are they going to separate it from really Uncharted? How is this not going to feel like an Uncharted? And I don't think putting it in first-person mode is necessarily the answer that I'm personally looking forward to, but maybe others are, and that's fine. I just want to see a little bit more, even a CGI. Show me a CGI, and then I'll get a little bit more excited because I think we're a ways out on this one.
Young indie. What if they decide to do something before all the movies and kind of do it Rise of the Tomb Raider style of like, oh, it's Indy trapped in his first tomb and now he has to raid it.
Right.
That's actually an interesting point, Dreamcast. I didn't even think about that. I'm thinking old Indy, but that actually might be a nice.
But that's also kind of how they Crystal Dynamics started the reboot for Tomb Raider. They made it Lara before she was Tomb Raider and before she was a mass murderer, and didn't know how to do everything that she knows how to do.
Yeah, she got a little crazy in the last one.
I think,
and everything.
Yeah.
I think they have no choice but to kind of follow the format of Tomb Raider and Uncharted, simply because Tomb Raider and Uncharted are basically homages to Indiana Jones. It's like it's like you're not being Indiana Jones if you're not doing that, because it's like they basically what everything the Mooch was talking about from the movies, all the car chase scenes and all. I'm like, yo, I'm thinking as he's saying that, I'm picturing parts of Uncharted games, and I'm like, they've done it all. Remember, like probably watched Indiana Jones movies. It was like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do that.
Remember when Nathan Drake jumped out of the plane?
I'm the complete opposite of DC. I've actually, believe it or not, through this whole pandemic and being home, I watched all the Indiana Joneses again. I like Indiana Jones. I really do. I think it's great.
Are they on Disney Plus?
I don't think so.
Don't think so. No. Oh, okay. I watched them on Amazon Prime. So.
Which is your favorite Indiana Jones though? I gotta ask you.
It probably is the one with Sean Connery.
Really?
Not the Lost Ark. Is it? It's
it's the Holy Grail one.
Holy Grail,
yeah. Nah, Temple of Doom's my favorite.
The reason, Temple of Doom is right. It's right there. The reason is that chemistry on scene between Harrison Ford and Sean Connery
chemistry
was absolutely amazing, and it was like they played a role there where it's a father and son that definitely didn't get along, and you could see the angst and the kind of the hate they had for each other in the beginning and how that transforms through the adventure. That really made it. The dialogue in that was more snappy than the dialogue that he had with his other counterparts in the previous ones. But the Temple of Doom is by far, I mean, probably has the most iconic scenes, perhaps. So I got to give you credit there.
As long as you didn't say Crystal Skull, because that one deserves to be banished from existence. Good grief, that was bad. Aliens.
Like Harrison Ford was he's like 80 years old. He can barely move.
Yeah, he couldn't even move at that point.
Yeah, you could.
You could clearly see it was stunt doubles, like in like 90% of the movie.
90% of the movie.
I heard he's making another one though. Is that true?
Oh my god! What is he in a
wheelchair? I don't know how he's gonna do it.
Hey, Mooch, you know what he needs? He needs some of that stuff we were talking about baseball players use. Remember that?
Yeah, a little HGH.
HGH, yes.
Somebody give Harrison Ford some HGH, please.
Well, I mean, I don't know how. Like, I remember he broke his ankle, like basically just like walking down the stairs doing Star Wars. So it's just like, I don't know how he's going to do another Indiana Jones as active as Indy is. But I was saying, like, they have to kind of do the whole Uncharted thing just for it to actually be really an indie game. But then at the same time, it's like it's machine games. Like they are, if you want a really good first-person shooter with great gun mechanics and mowing down tons of enemies, you go to machine games for that. It's I don't want to see indie with like double AKs.
Right.
Yeah.
If they were redoing like Rambo First Blood, then we got something going, right?
Hey,
I mean,
real quick, guys, I want to read what Ryan Landis wrote here. Indiana Jones in a retirement home. Oh my goodness. But Machine Games is known for making like really great, like you said, slow-mo first-person shooters.
You guys, BRAP, are you in slow-mo? Are you guys seeing like online? Everyone's like, well, Machine Games going from first person, they can go to third person, and everybody keeps jumping right to Guerrilla Games.
Yeah,
and so right, they're like Guerrilla went from Killzone to of course Horizon, and
Respawn.
But the thing about it is that whenever you're talking about can it be done? Yes, I mean right. Let's talk about going to the moon, right? So the USSR went back in the 80s, right? The United States has been up on the moon. But, there's a reason Italy hasn't hit the moon, right? Okay, like, they can get there, but that doesn't mean that they can. Like, there's an achievement goal to accomplish to get there. And to say Guerrilla Games did it, so Machine can do it, that doesn't mean, I'm not saying they can't. They certainly can do a third person. But just because one team did it, those are individual people. This isn't just a circumstance where you're like, well, one did it, so everybody can do it. First of all, maybe Machine doesn't want to do it. Second of all, maybe they're not going to be very good at doing that transition. I don't know. I gotta say this much though, like Slow-Mo said a second ago, as I was explaining a couple of the Indiana Jones things that occur during the movies, the first thing Slow-Mo's thinking of is, wow, I remember that scene from Uncharted, and that scene from Uncharted, and that scene from Uncharted. So they're gonna have to do something to bring themselves and elevate themselves above Uncharted. Or what happens is the same thing that happened to Tomb Raider, the last two. Those are great games, but they just get shuffled under the Uncharted. Like Uncharted is still the dominant in that genre, which, by the way, Uncharted doesn't exist without Indiana Jones. It's it's an ironic conversation.
Yeah. Mooch, do you think a way for them to really separate themselves from the Tomb Raider and the Uncharted is to actually to do the same thing they were doing, but have a superior story? And I'm not saying like Tomb Raider, like I think when it comes to stories, I thought Tomb Raider reboot was the best one. It's best one, period. But the best one was story. Rise of the Tomb Raider was all right. Shadow of the Tomb Raider story was really lacking. With Uncharted, I think the better stories overall, but I think 3 really kind of faltered, and 1 was very much very, very basic.
Correct.
2 being super superior, 2 and 4 story wise. You got Lost Legacy, which is great. Legacy is great. But I think when it comes to Indiana Jones, you have to really, really, really nail the story. And I think Machine Games, something that they do that, like if you play through the Wolfenstein games, like they're no slouch when it comes to stories. Like they can really like walk around the ship in Wolfenstein, the New Colossus, and just stand around and listen to dialogue and talk to people. You can get some really good, content out of it. They got some really great moments, lighthearted moments too.
Some very interesting lovemaking cutscenes, I might add.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I was trying to hold it out, like the big girl in the submarine.
Yeah, exactly. I thought he was gonna start growling.
I remember one time in particular, there was a time where I was just kind of walking around, and there was 2 characters talking, and one character was talking about how he was trying to approach this other character. He's like going in about how I really like her, I want to do, and then the woman just goes, just stop being a pussy and ask her. I'm like, this dialogue's really, really good. So I think they can nail that, but I think they should just really go all in on that. They really need to let Indiana Jones fans feel like, this really feels like an Indiana Jones game. Like it just doesn't feel like, they tried to do something different, but it wasn't. Like, I think they just gotta go all in with everything that Uncharted has already done. Just make it better. And I know that may be hard because Uncharted is made by Naughty Dog, so it's like, this is what you're going up against. But at the same time, we talked about Guerrilla and how Guerrilla made that transition with Horizon Zero Dawn, which a lot of people kind of say the story's boring, but great game. I think, but Guerrilla wasn't Guerrilla until they did it.
I like where you're going with that, Slow-Mo. I mean, because really, let's use the strengths. And the strengths is what you said. So Machine Games has the ability to make great dialogue, great story. Awesome. Here's the thing. They don't really have to go out of their wheelhouse too far because Indiana Jones is an existing there's an existing world that Lucas and all the greats in Hollywood have already created. They've got something. And someone in the chat just said it here. I think his name is Nick. Nick said it needs humor. And that's key. The humor, the one-liners that are in the Indiana Jones movies are what it really, really comes down to. So making that a big part of it with using some of the heritage, if you will, of the Indiana Jones series. I agree with you, Slow-Mo. Play to your strengths. If it's going to be FPS, maybe they can make us a believer, So
oh no, that's one thing. I think that's a deal breaker for me. I cannot play Indiana Jones FPS with the whip flying out like this whip all over the screen in my face.
Okay, so the whip is going to be the hard part. But let me say something to you, Slow-Mo, and I know that me and you are big fans of this series, so I'm just going to throw this out there. I'll never forget the discussions I had on podcasts where people argued and said, there's no way. No one would have ever thought a first-person version of Resident Evil would ever work, and it did. So what I'm saying to you is that there's a chance. So if we're going to sit here and give Guerrilla Games all of that prestige that they can make the jump, which, by the way, I'm in the camp. I know a lot of people are going to throw tomatoes at me. I think I give Horizon all the credit that people want for the mechanics and how they made that. But the story in Killzone and the story in Horizon both put me into a coma. So that's fine.
Are we allowed to smoke crack on this podcast?
Sorry about that, PC. I could not get into the story on Horizon at all. Help me! My leg is broken. Hello.
That's lore, bro. That's lore from the knee down.
Oh
that guy over there took my basket of fruit. Could you please go get my basket of fruit? I will go get your basket of fruit. Thank you.
Hell yeah. And then you know what's in that basket of fruit? A dinosaur that's made out of fucking cogwheels. That's awesome.
The mechanics were great.
No, you gotta also. I know no one has a face cam on right now, but you have to say it with your eyes bulging out, and you got like
yes,
and you've been your face is completely dull and dead. That's
like literally a dead face and eyes staring into the soul of a heartless person, and just like, I will go get your bowl of fruit. No problem. What is my reward? It's over there by the dinosaur. I'm like, oh man, I just couldn't take it. I'm like, I had it. I've had enough. But that's a me problem. I know. I'm alone. I'm on my island all by myself. Maybe Slow-Mo will come visit me one time. I got great food over here, Slow-Mo. But yeah, I think getting back to again. I'm starving. This is BRAP's fault. So, the thing about it is I really think that Indiana Jones has potential. But guys, let's be honest here. We only saw like a 20-second just video clip with the Indiana Jones theme song. That doesn't mean that it's going to be good. It doesn't mean it's going to be bad. It just means we got to kind of, we got to wait and see some more. But yeah, there's potential.
I just think it's the possibility. It's just knowing that there is a studio that will be bringing something like this back in the fact. And it's just, I think the intriguing part of it is more than just being Indiana Jones. It's like, what is it going to be? What is Xbox going to do with it? Is it going to be exclusive? Go back to that whole conversation again. This is the opportunity, and the people keep saying like, well, this is a third party deal, and it's they probably talked about this before Microsoft even acquired them. I was like, yeah, you're probably right, but we known about rumors of this acquisition since 2018. Yep. So Microsoft has more than likely been at the table the whole time that this was going on, because they knew that this was something they were working towards. So I think that's the more interesting side of it, because they honestly have an opportunity to have that, Indiana Jones Uncharted type game exclusive to their system. And I think that's the more interesting side of it. But I just think having something that we haven't had in like forever is always a good thing. And then I think it being something that the Xbox platform can say that is possibly exclusive to them, or something that they're the ones that's going to be the stewards of, I think that's also exciting for a lot of people too. So it kind of hits on 2 points. It just really comes down to Machine Games is one of those developers that I have a lot of trust in. I know a lot of people saw their last game, which was Youngbloods. At that point, I think ZeniMax was cashing in. They knew that this acquisition was going through. They wanted to get as much money out of these IPs that they could before they finally did turn it over. So I don't really want to hold any of the last games that Bethesda made, because I think that was part of the situation. But I do think this is going to be something that a lot of people are going to be paying attention to, mostly due to what's going to happen with this game when they finally get a chance to talk about where it's going to be played at.
You guys really think this game is going to be exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem?
I don't know.
You would know this Slow-Mo, this game right here is probably the game I would tell you would be cross-platform because of the fact that it's a third-party licensed IP. Right. That's the only reason I can see it being. Spider-Man. Well, and that's the other thing I'm trying to say. So I can see it being a third-party IP, but then you can fight that by saying games like Spider-Man, which is the biggest Marvel IP, is exclusive to the PlayStation platform. So,
which was the biggest install base on consoles at the time. So it's like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. I mean, not a no-brainer, but it's like you can get away with that.
Yeah, they just have more leverage in that deal.
Years before that too, though.
Yeah, like Indiana Jones is like us old guys go like, oh yeah, Indiana Jones.
Yeah, ask somebody in their 20s if they care about Indiana
Yeah,
Jones.
that's what I'm saying.
Exactly,
so it's not even going to have the reach like something like Marvel's going to have. It's just a simple. And then you got to think it just comes back to Microsoft has an ecosystem where they can get as many people into that game as they possibly want to by putting it in something like Game Pass and then on xCloud. It's still going to be more than likely available on PC, which is the biggest player base of all of them. So there will be many ways for this game still to make its revenue, even if it doesn't hit PlayStation. But I do agree, this is the one title, just like Spider-Man. I was still shocked that ended up being first party. The only reason I can understand is because Sony has such a big working relationship when it comes to the Spider-Man IP, when it comes to like digital media and everything. Right. So it kind of just made more sense for them. Where this, I do think Microsoft was in the room when this conversation happened. And it's going to be real interesting to see what happens with this IP, because we do have precedents for a IP that is very big. And this isn't even nowhere near as big as something like Spider-Man, but it did go first party, and it could stand to be that this game could also do the same thing.
Yeah, that's a great point, Forte. I do want to ask Dreamcast guy. Dreamcast guy, do you think this game will be exclusive to the Xbox platform?
It's hard to say, but I bet they want it to be. I bet that Microsoft is going to, if possible, I think they're even going to pay a lot of money to Disney and Lucasfilms, because that's the biggest thing that everybody keeps saying, even everybody in chat is just saying Xbox needs them exclusives. And that's the thing, is that if they manage to come out and have a banger ass Indiana Jones, even if it ends up just being a straight up Uncharted ripoff, if it's a 10 out of 10 Uncharted ripoff, people are going to buy Xboxes to play it.
Yep.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I see people in live chat debating about Spider-Man, who owns the IP. Disney owns the IP for Spider-Man. Sony owns the movie rights. It's actually, people still think that Sony actually owns the character. They don't. They do not own the character.
Yeah, it's a complicated thing, so I understand their confusion. But yes, BRAP got it perfect. They own the movie rights, and now they have like exclusive game rights in a way, but it's still owned by Disney.
And they only own the movie rights as long as they keep making Spider-Man movies like every 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, 3 rolls, 3 years.
That's why you see, people don't realize, that's why you see so many reboots of Spider-Man, because part of that contract to keep that license is for them to keep making Spider-Man movies. And as long as they make them, they'll keep the IP. If they ever stop making them, it defaults back to Marvel and Disney in this case.
Yep, absolutely. The Bethesda thing's interesting. That's always been a debate or conversation about whether or not all Bethesda games are going to be exclusive. I've heard some interesting things behind the scenes about that. But I think this, if I was a betting man, I would imagine this probably would be an exclusive. I don't see how.
I think it has to be, man.
But then Microsoft,
for sake, it has to be.
But then Microsoft is selling Game Pass, and if it does it matter then if it's on the PlayStation platform, because they want to sell Game Pass subscriptions.
They want to put Game Pass on TVs. I mean, shout out to OBM in the chat. He says by the time Indy comes out, meaning Indiana Jones comes out, it'll be 2025. He said we'll be towards the end of the gen, and casual streaming off their TV apps will be viable. Whether it's a console exclusive doesn't matter by then. That's what I think you're alluding to, BRAP, and I think that's what OBM's talking about, is that, don't get me wrong, Forte's not wrong in saying, well, it has to be, and they really need it. That's the echo chamber that we all listen to on Twitter and the hardcore, and I understand from that perspective. Right. But if you look at from a Phil Spencer getting up on stage and talking about how he envisions Xbox moving forward, it doesn't mesh with what he's trying to push. So
not necessarily, because they sit there and say that they're listening to their player base. And
right.
And one thing I will say about the player base is they want to have something to say that it's exclusive to this platform. It may not be the best move for Xbox or Microsoft at that point, because they can make more money on the back end by doing it everywhere. But they sit up here, and this is the thing, they sit up here and tell people, we want you to be a part of this ecosystem. And they already keep all these games that keep going to PC. You got Gears Tactics finally came over. Flight Simulator is still only on PC. Don't know when that's coming over. So at this point, it's like everybody else is getting the Xbox exclusives, and then Xbox isn't getting them. So I agree. I think the best move would be to put them everywhere because that's how you maximize your dollar. But it depends on what Xbox wants. Who are they speaking to? Right now, you're at the very beginning of at the very beginning of a generation for your brand new system. You got a lot of people that went out and bought these systems based on the fact that, what am I going to have that I can't play anywhere else? And maybe Xbox for one of these games. That's why a lot of people are hoping that something from Bethesda does become exclusive because that's kind of what the fan base wants. Now, Microsoft and the fan base is two different things. Are they going to sit there and say, we're going to listen to our fans? Or are they going to sit there and say, we're going to listen to our wallet? Most people are going to say they're going to listen to their wallet because they're a company. But then on the other hand, you got all these same people that say Microsoft shits $5 billion out of their ass and don't even miss it. So they can do multiple different things and really can they could placate to the community however they want to. I just think a lot of people want to see Xbox do good by them because they feel like this whole entire last generation, that wasn't a thing. But Microsoft don't have to do that, but I think that's what people want them to do.
Yeah, and when you to the point of the platform, to me the platform is Game Pass now.
Xbox is a platform now. It's not a that's an ecosystem in the platform.
Yeah, I mean, Game Pass is the platform. That's what they want to get people in, and you could certainly. I mean, look, they could make a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money putting Indiana Jones on the PlayStation, on PC. And then say, hey, if you don't want to pay $60, we got something called Game Pass for you, $1.
I'm gonna use the same thing that Moosh said. What about the double dip? Why not make it exclusive to your platform for a first year and then release it on PlayStation a year later?
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do that too. Yeah,
because I feel like that is the
thing is though. The thing is, Forte, once that
they want to take the games from
Forte, but don't get me wrong,
they should go in.
That's the smart move. But once that cat's out of the bag, then you have people saying, well, that's fine.
Depending on how good the game is, people aren't going to wait. I had this conversation on Primetime Gaming with Boom. Final Fantasy, we know that's not going to be, we know that's coming to other platforms this year now. But guess what? Everybody that wanted to play that game did not wait. You're not going to, if it's a game you truly want to play, you're not going to wait. You're just going to go out and play it on the system that is available on.
I don't think that Indiana Jones holds the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Beyond Indiana Jones.
Totally different. Yeah, but the thing you have to look at the IP. You have to look at what it is we're talking about. You know what I mean? You're talking about
Indiana Jones. I'm talking about Bethesda in general. I feel like that should be
coming out. If it's coming out a year later, I think majority, not all. You can't speak in absolutes these days. But the majority of PlayStation fans will just wait.
And that's fine.
As long as
Microsoft will still make 60% on every damn
absolutely. There's no bigger fan of the double dip than the Mooch. I completely agree with you.
Money. So
go ahead, B. What do you were to say something?
No, I was just gonna say, as long as the content continues on PlayStation, then people will wait. You know, they're gonna run out and buy new content.
No one needs to go spend $500 when it's coming out in 11 months. Like that's just not going to happen nowadays. I don't see that as a major. Now, when you use the opposite, it is different. I'm just noticing, this is me just sitting back. You guys tell me if you see things differently, because I'd love to get your take on it. But I see a lot more Xbox camp buying PlayStations than PlayStation.
It's always been that way, though.
Right. Well, that's what B Money, and that's what I'm alluding to. And don't get me wrong, Microsoft, the double dip's fantastic. That's great for them. You know, that's what their investors want to see. That's what their stockholders want to see. It's what Phil's boss wants to see. That's what they want. They made a $7.5 billion deal. They want the dividends back, and the best way for them to do that right now is to, go ahead, put it on Game Pass day and date.
But you don't have to buy the box to be in there, though. That's the thing. People, because you got to think a lot of PlayStation people got PCs, and if they got PCs, they can just go sign up for the same subscription service that you can get on Xbox.
You know, don't get me wrong, the PC conversation, this always kind of falls on deaf ears, but that's not necessarily true, Forte. Like going from PlayStation and you're on a console and you're a console gamer, and then jumping to PC, that's not as natural as it sounds
more console people flipping to PC all the time. It's still
Forte,
there's still a lot of people. There's still a lot of people
Forte,
that prefer to play on console.
Well, we don't know. I think it's kind of hard to really gauge how many people are actually jumping from console to PC. I don't think we can.
People in this room, how many have jumped to PC in the last year? We're just a subsection, just a subsection.
That's fine, but Brap, listen, use his numbers real quick, right? So I am one. I did build a PC in the past 2 years. However, it's the last place I generally play.
That's fine, but you still.
Well, no, it's not, because I'm not going to play an Xbox Game Pass game on my PC. I probably would play it on my Series X way before, 1,000 times over. I would play it on PC.
You're playing Gears of War. Where did you play that at? With me, you, and what's that? You're playing on PC then?
I wanted to try it. I just built it then. Yeah,
that's all I'm saying. You did it. It's not saying that's going to be the preferred place.
No. That's not fair. That's not a fair analogy. I also got 2.5 years, and I was able to will my last will and testament to my grandchildren for $1. I got Game Pass for $1 for like 18 years. Listen, that's why I didn't mind doing it. Like, if I didn't have Game Pass, I certainly wasn't going to go get Game Pass for Gears 5. I would have played it on my Xbox. I happened to have it, so I used it, and I just built the rig. So I tried it.
You had Game Pass, so you could play wherever you wanted to play it at. That's the thing.
I think we're
going off the argument of all these people that talk about not wanting to buy an Xbox because they have Game Pass on PC.
All right,
that's all we're taking his argument from. It's not because I'm just going off that. And there's a lot of people.
That's Twitter. Yeah, real quick, guys. I do, and we can continue the conversation here in just a minute. I do want to do the trivia for the giveaway. We're doing a Xbox. I'm gonna say Xbox Series X. We're not giving away Series X. Because you can still find those in the stores. Haha. Just joking, by the way.
Charles and Charles.
Yeah, no, we're giving away Xbox digital code. Thank you. I couldn't get that out to some of the live chat. And the trivia question, it relates to the earlier topic of the evening, Mass Effect. And so the trivia question is, who was the voice actor for the elusive man in Mass Effect 2? Whoever gets that answer right first gets this gift card, digital gift code. And you'll have to DM me on the Twitters to receive the digital code. But whoever answers that first wins. Again, the trivia question is, who is the voice actor for the elusive man in Mass Effect 2? All right. Who got it?
US Man B.
Yeah, US Man B got it. Look at that. Maybe Slow-mo, I think you're right.
Yeah, it's too easy.
Yeah. Usman B got it. Congratulations, Usman. I'll DM you, bud.
Let me ask my other one since just to see how quickly people answer. So here's another one. The voice actress for Miranda is also known for what TV series where she appears for all 5 seasons?
Well, I don't know that one.
Boy, I don't know.
You
ever see those? Yeah, there we go, Chuck. Yeah, that's you
got it.
Yeah. People, like 5 seconds later.
7 Monster, outstanding. He's quick.
Yeah, good job.
This one I think is not going to be as easy. Okay, so how many?
By the way, we're not giving away anything.
There's no giveaways for these. These are just trivia. How many shadow brokers are we aware of in the Mass Effect trilogy? Someone gets this, they are definitely like a Mass Effect fan. Like,
would you ask them how many what?
How many shadow brokers?
I don't remember that.
Hendrix
are 3. Yes, it is 3. It's almost like a trick question because they only show you 2. But then if you actually pay attention to the story, the one that you fight said that he killed the previous shadow broker and took his place.
Wow,
so, it's 3.
How do you remember all this stuff, Slow-mo?
Because I play the game once every year.
Well, you know what's funny? So the only 2 people I know, Slow-mo plays the trilogy every year, and shout out to Sully. Good dang 775 is a massive Mass Effect fan. I mean, he plays them I think he plays them twice a year through. I mean, he's diehard. So I'd love to see a Slow-mo and Sully Mass Effect, just like a podcast on that. That'd be fantastic.
I got a question from one bad mother. Does the Mass Effect ending get better after the 10th time? No, it never gets better. You just become kind of dull to it, and you're just dead inside. You don't really care. I did want to kind of go back to the topic we were talking about. My opinion on the whole Indiana Jones thing and whether it should be exclusive. I think Xbox would like for it to be exclusive, but I don't think Disney and Lucasfilm Games want it to be exclusive. And I think they don't want to be exclusive, one, because Indiana Jones is, although a very popular, it's an older popular IP. If this was the 80s, yeah, you could go exclusive with that and you could sell consoles because that's when Indiana Jones was in this heyday. But in 2021, the only people who really, really are deeply into Indiana Jones and really interested in this game are people who are our age. The younger audience, all right, Indiana Jones is coming back. Okay, big woo! Like when's the last Indiana Jones movie bombed, and it was not recent. So I think it's too obscure in a sense, an IP that it's not a system seller and it's not going to push numbers. It's not going to really benefit Game Pass to do that, have it exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem and in Game Pass. You're not going to get people to sign up for Game Pass to play Indiana Jones. But that's it. The rest of the Bethesda stuff, I think they really should make stuff like Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6, the next Fallout. All of that needs to be exclusive to your ecosystem because those are system sellers. Those are IP that people who are big into Fallout, like let's say they get Obsidian now that they're all under the same umbrella. Obsidian's going to do a Fallout New Vegas 2. You better damn make sure that's exclusive to Game Pass and Xbox ecosystem because there are people who will buy an Xbox. They'll buy a Series S, whatever, just to play that sequel. There are people who will buy an Xbox to play the next Elder Scrolls. You could make a lot of money selling it on all platforms. But as you see with so many of these other industries, they're moving towards subscription services. You can no longer just buy something. You can't, for example, we do content creation, Adobe. You can't just buy Adobe Suite stuff no more. They want you to subscribe to it. Why? Because they can make more money off your ass that way. Microsoft with Office 365. Everywhere it's so hard to just get a straight up copy of Office. Just give me Office. I don't want to sign up to your sub service. But that's what they want because they can make more money off you that way. And so that's what they're pushing. And I think in their mind, every time they sell a game that they got day one in Game Pass on PlayStation or on Stadia, that's funny. That's all. Yeah, funny. Or Switch is one less person that has Game Pass. And so for them, that's kind of like, yeah, we made our 70% off of that. But it's not the kind of money that continues on. I'm not making more money off that person 6 months from now. And that's even though they may not make that money anyway, because that person may unsub after they finish the game. But they still is the potential that the person will say, I'll stick with this for a little bit.
Yeah, there's less potential of fall off.
Right. And so they look at it like I can make $60 off of you now, or 45, but whatever the split is, $45 off of you now, or I can continue to get you to give me $10 to $15 a month until you jump out of this. And hopefully we're dropping enough content on you by that time where you don't feel the need to ever unsub. And so that's like the goal. And I think the only way you're going to get that goal is if you have content that no one can get anywhere else. This is why Netflix makes their shit, and you don't see the House of Cards on Hulu. You don't see
the thing is
all their shows on other streaming services because they know
the one part of the equation a lot of us don't talk about because we always are talking to the hardcore and we game. Like we are trying. Do you notice every game that comes out, we're like, oh, I'll pick that up. I'll pick that up. I'll pick that up. I'll pick that up. So that's why Game Pass, people say, well, if Game Pass and they put exclusives on there, everyone will just join there and they'll just, when games come out, they'll feel like I just want to stay a part of it because the games continue to come out. That sounds really, really great. That sounds outstanding for the hardcore. But as a casual gamer, there's people who only like Elder Scrolls. There's people who only like Fallout. So they may go ahead and get Xbox Game Pass for Fallout 5, play it for a month, and then when they're done, they're done. My point is, we say that because we're like, oh, we want this continuation of games. We're playing everything. Everyone here is going to play Far Cry 6. Everyone here is going to play Ghostwire Tokyo. Everybody here is going to play Deathloop. Everybody here is... That's not the normal gaming audience. They're playing one, or they like one type of game. They don't necessarily want to play everything. That's why I don't think you see Game Pass jumping through the roof, because not everybody feels like they have to pay $10 a month. They'll go buy the one game they like. They'll play it for 6 months. Then they'll go buy another game. And some people wait for the game to go on sale. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like what you just said is true. And it's true for the ears that are listening to all of us week in and week out, because we are willing to play all of these games and play them over and over again. So having that library is very enticing for the hardcore. But eventually what happens is the hardcore number will top out, right? That's the difference between getting 40 million consoles sold and having 150 or 200 million consoles sold. It's when you've reached the casual market. Well, the casual market doesn't necessarily feel like they have to pay $120 a year for a bunch of games they'll never play. Not because they don't like Xbox, but because they just have no interest in those games. Nor do they want to go through the catalog and find out there's a 360 game and an OG Xbox game. And they don't care. They like one particular game. So
yeah, you know what? Everything you're saying is absolutely true. I agree with you 100%. Casual game, like
equation, though, on any show.
I mean, like
it doesn't fit the hardcore mentality.
Yeah, I get you. Like I've talked to my casual gaming friends and I'm like, yo, you know, like you ever played Gears of War? And they're like, no, what is that? I'm like, the hell?
Right.
You know,
my friends haven't either.
You have an Xbox, man.
They have an Xbox.
Game Pass and just play through the entire series. And they're like,
I don't want to.
Yeah, and they just don't. It's like
they just don't want to
value in it, but they're just like, yeah, but value is really in. I mean, they don't say this, but
I'll give you an example. I'm a diehard NFL. I love the NFL. I'm in 2 fantasy football leagues and this and that, but I also don't want to watch the Cleveland Browns. Don't. You know what I mean?
I mean, chill out.
I'm sorry about that.
No, I mean, like, their uniforms are ugly, and this is the first year they've actually been good. So I understand.
No, and I'm picking on the Browns just because, you know, listen, B-Money, I'm a Mets fan. Listen, I feel your pain.
He's also a Giants fan.
Yeah, I'm a Giants fan. Hey, listen, before everybody goes down on the Giants real quick, okay, take it easy. The Giants got 2 Super Bowls in this, in the 2000s. But nonetheless, that's a different subject. Sports! My point being is that we don't. That's the equation we don't really talk about. And I'm really glad you brought that up. A buddy of mine I was just talking to that I work with. He has an Xbox, but and B Money will definitely get. I know B Money's a big NBA 2K. My buddy's a big NBA 2K fan, but he won't play Gears. He's not gonna play Halo 1, 2, 3, 4. He ain't doing it.
Hey,
unless somebody goes to his house.
I have about 4 hours of work to do on a video before I go to bed, and it's already like 10 p.m., so I got to run.
All right, peace, DC. All right, Dreamcast guy, man. Pleasure having you all. Thank you, man.
Hey, peace out, bro. Mooch, I understand your point completely, and I agree. I agree that like the casual gamer doesn't really see the value in Game Pass because it's like, well, it's not like how I consume content in movies. I'm not that level of a gamer. Everyone seems is like can find value in a Netflix, and some people feel like nah, I don't care that much. You know, I only sign up.
Well, think about it too. You know, HBO Max or Netflix. You put the show on, you could fall asleep. You could in the game. You put the game on. You don't just put the controller down and take a nap.
Exactly. Right.
But audience.
I mean, well, what I wanted to say was the fact that it's not straight up just Netflix, where like every game that's in Game Pass, you can buy for like 20% off. So,
oh my God, I would say probably more than 60% of those are under $20 or less.
Right. So you're definitely getting like, you know, huge super like. So if you like a game and you know you try it out in Game Pass, it's like I'm not keeping this sub service for only like one game in it. Unsub, buy it for the discount. unsub, you're good. Now, I think the old school way of transactions in gaming still applies. It will always still apply, and it still applies here for if you are a Fallout fan, but all you really play is Fallout. Or you love Skyrim and you played Skyrim on every single platform it came out on, all 5,000 of them. Then you're thinking like the next Elder Scrolls will come out. I'm there. It's only exclusive to Xbox. Well,
but why pay $120 while you're waiting for it a year?
What if it's not timed exclusive? What if it's actually only going to be on Xbox and PC? Well, then I think you're gonna like the same people who went out there and bought a PlayStation 4 to play Spider-Man.
If you're there
just going to buy an Xbox to play Elder Scrolls.
If you're just there for that, yes, you will buy an Xbox, absolutely. But then I think you would just buy the game outright.
They would just buy the game.
Exactly. You don't sub the Game Pass, but you buy it outright. And I think they are looking at like, well, we'll take that.
Well, absolutely. That's the old school. That's what they're doing today. That's what they've done for the past 40 years. Well, my point being is that like that's fine. I think when we sit here, the reason that you had Aaron Greenberg come out and say we're not making a lot of money on Game Pass, the other thing, not only is the first party super expensive. I mean, Halo's $500-600 million. Gears 5 was rumored to be $75 or $100 million to produce. That's all included.
That's also a self-inflicted gunshot wound when it comes to 343 and how much money they spend.
Right, exactly. Right. That's exactly. But my point being is you also have the deals they're cutting for third party, like Yakuza, and the deals that they did for Devil May Cry, and those are $9, $15, $20 million deals individually as well. And that's the thing. And when you see these numbers spike, the only time Microsoft ever talks about them is when they do a huge dollar promotion. Then they spike and they go, well, Game Pass went up to 18 million. And you're like, wow, look at that, Mooch, you're wrong. They were at 12, now they're at 18. Yeah, but then they don't mention the number again for like 16 to 18 months when it dips down after the dollar deal's over for a lot of folks. So it's a sine curve. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad, but when you look at saying you're going to be the Netflix of gaming, Netflix has 150 million subscribers a month. Okay, I got news for you. 15 to 18 million is a far cry from 150 million. And the 150 million, Netflix is still in the hole. So that's the thing when it comes down to it. It's I get and I understand there's other parts of the pie that we're not talking about either. Like there's the skins that you buy and the microtransactions and things like that, and that keeps money filtering through. There's some pros and there's some cons. But the thing about it ultimately is I don't think that when you make these $7.5 billion deals, I think just like when they did the $2.5 billion deal with Mojang, that they put Minecraft everywhere. And people go, well, Mooch, Minecraft was already everywhere. Guess what? Fallout's been everywhere too. You know what I mean? So like, they're not going to want to stop that gamer base from buying that IP because they would be foolish to lose that. And like Forte was saying earlier, you put it on the PlayStation Store, and guess what? Microsoft gets 70%. That's a big deal.
But it's still different because Fallout, the next Fallout, isn't already on PlayStation, whereas Minecraft, in order to change what was already there, they would have actually had to remove Minecraft from the PlayStation Store, which we know that's not the mentality of this kind of
mentality, but it's not a difficult move. And you know what?
But I don't think.
But here's the thing, though.
I mean, like as far as a
I gotta
PR
say one thing though,
that wouldn't do.
But what you're saying and what Forte was saying earlier, that's the whole idea of getting people to move over to a platform, right? Put it on there. You just said it yourself. Before I did my rant, you did your rant. Your biggest pitch in your rant, which you weren't wrong as well, you were right, was you have to do these exclusives on Game Pass to get people to go over to Game Pass. Listen, you put Minecraft exclusively on Game Pass, pull it off everywhere else, guess what? Everybody gets Game Pass. Microsoft didn't do that. Not only did they keep it on, they didn't just keep it on PlayStation, they added it to Switch. So my point being is that like,
one thing, Mooch, hold on.
It proves that they are not interested in making Game Pass an exclusive dead end. They want the IP everywhere.
But Mooch, the difference there is that you're taking away something versus here's an option of how to get something. So if you snatch Minecraft away and only make it accessible on Xbox, PC, and also through Game Pass, I already have it. you're now telling me I got to invest in something else to get something I'm already enjoying. I'm trying to picture myself as
already enjoying
a Minecraft player.
You can
and
keep playing it on PS4, but if you want updates, you'd have to go over to the other system.
Yes, and that still is
taking it away. It is what it is. That's business.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, real quick. I get the super chat that I got to wrap up the show. I get to bed. Sayanu.com. I'm gonna pronounce that correctly with the $2.99 super chat. Says attack angle for Returnal is not a $70 game.
That's a whole other guy. No, I mean, I'll end it because I know Brap wants to end the show. Slow-mo. I'm not. By the way, it's kind of a stalemate, right? The conversation is a stalemate because you can go either way with it. I definitely see your point, and it's not. You're not wrong. I'm just saying there's avenues that if Microsoft wanted to make Game Pass that ultimate stop, like that's the stop that we want everyone to have Game Pass, period, they would make moves like pulling Minecraft and putting it on there alone. Because believe it or not, Minecraft, unlike other games that are just 40 hours, 50 hours and done, Minecraft never ends, right? It never ends. It's an evolving world you're building. You and your friends, you've created things. There's always things coming up, blah, blah. That's perfect for Game Pass. So they could have done that. And I understand what you're saying by pulling the plug, but they didn't just not only stop on PlayStation 4, they moved that to another platform in Nintendo Switch and on the phone and everywhere else. My point being is, if you look at, I try to step back and look at what Microsoft has been pitching the past few years. And it's the argument that you and Forte made is 100% accurate. If that's what you want to push, you want to put your exclusives on there. But I'm just not seeing them do that. Maybe they'll do the double dip where they do it for a year, which I think is a smart move. But I don't even know if they'll do that. I think that they're ultimately going to have these games be on all consoles eventually. If it's not day one, it'll be 6 months, 12 months, maybe 18 months, maybe 24 months. I don't know how long they're going to make the competitor wait and that customer wait. But I'm not seeing it yet. We don't have one example where Xbox bought something recently and then kept it to themselves, right? We have nothing yet.
I mean, it also, in the sense of the way game development works, it's still too soon to tell.
It is.
So like this is like we're having a great conversation, but
it's a stalemate right now. We don't know.
Yeah, the answer to our questions don't get answered until like 3 years from now, 3-4 years.
Yeah. At that point, we'll be ready to buy new consoles. Right, that's the problem. You know what I mean? At that point, we're 5 years into the gen, and it's like, all right, what's next?
Yeah, what's next?
That's a good point.
PS5 Pro on the horizon and the Xbox Series V.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, do need to wrap up the show because BRAP needs to get to bed.
Yes,
I have to work tomorrow in the morning. And Mooch, I don't want you to eat. So
no eating.
No eating.
Can't eat till February. Can't wait for Super Bowl though. I'm going to eat so much pizza.
All right,
it's gonna be crazy, record breaking.
It's gonna be record breaking. You break the Super Bowl wings eating.
I'll have to do it on my channel, right? It'll be one of those eating competition channels. That'll be fantastic.
Exactly. But I want to give a big shout out to our guest, one of our guests this evening, Dreamcast guy. He had to leave a little bit early because he has some work to do on his channel. But if you haven't checked out his channel on YouTube, check out the Dreamcast guy. Puts out great content. He's been on Crossfire couple of times, and this was his second appearance on BRAP. So big shout out to Dreamcast guy. Thank you again, Dreamcast guy, for hanging out this evening, and big thank you to Mooch as well for answering the call. Mooch, always a pleasure having you on BRAP, sir. Let everyone know where they can find you.
Absolutely, buddy. Thanks for the invite. It was a great show, great conversation as always on BRAP. As always, we got the Crossfire 7 p.m. Eastern time. The Mooch 78. Go over and check it out on YouTube. Do check it over on Twitch as well. And like I said, I've been working behind the scenes. I know a lot of people have heard me say this, but even today I was talking to my buddy Wayne, who's helping me with the backdrop and everything with the new set, and also talking to @JMatrix Gamer. Shout out to Jay. Getting things going on over there on Twitch and getting me all set up with OBS and things like that. We're really working behind the scenes a lot. So check it out. We have giveaways that we're going to be doing probably within the next 2 weeks when we launch the new set and all that good stuff. Guys, great show tonight. And thanks for the invite again, Brap.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure, man. Always a pleasure. And we got B Money 101. B, let everyone they can find you, sir.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere. Same name, B Money 101. I'll be hopefully good back to gaming sometime this week, so you might see me on 2K later on.
All right, man. Sounds good. We have Gaming Forte.
Yo.
What? Why do you want? I don't want to know. Just whatever they can find you for.
I was lounging in my my chair, very far back, listening to Slow Mo do God's work.
Gotcha. Let her know they can find you, man.
Gaming Forte everywhere: YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation. DPS podcast every Thursday, 9 p.m. This week on Slow Mo Backslaps channel. Check us out on Mooch's channel. He already plugged that.
Yeah.
And check us out on Primetime Gaming. So next week will be my last episode of Primetime Gaming for a while. So you won't see me on there. So if you want to hear your boy talk a lot of mess, come through Primetime Gaming next week.
What you gonna leave like like dude from Half Baked? F you, you're cool. F you in the mouth.
You cool. No, man,
that's not true.
Just everyone over there is cool. At work with scheduling and stuff, and I gotta get that stuff taken care of first before I start prioritizing coming back on a lot of shows. So check it out over there. Going to be a fun show that week, and can't wait to see what Slow Mo comes up with for topics for tomorrow's show. Maybe he'll make
the topics have written themselves. It's been a pretty interesting week.
Not rushing till first thing in the morning to make it.
Say what?
Nothing. Never mind.
Oh, that was shade. You know what? Go back to sleep, Forte. Go back to sleep. Go back to sleep.
Wow. Well, Slow-Mo,
sleep.
Slow-Mo, on that note, let everyone where they can find you, sir, because you'll be on DPS tomorrow.
Gaming Forte every Thursday at 9 p.m.
Okay, this Thursday, DPS is on my channel, so don't go to his channel and then miss the show. 9 p.m. My YouTube channel, Slow Mo Backslap, will be DPS podcast, which will be me and this dude over here, Forte. Hopefully, he can be a little bit more engaged and awake than he was tonight.
I made a very good point, sir.
Okay, yeah, 1 point in 2 hours. Great job. So
great job. Always overshadow you. I'm sitting there letting you get the
Hey, Fortune, we gotta wrap it up.
Can I finish, please? Thank you.
You just told me I fell asleep. I'm like, listen.
If you would like to see me and Forte argue some more, come check us out tomorrow. Also, check me out on. Actually, there's no Scumcast this weekend, so no Scumcast this weekend. Luca is out of town, so but I will be on Breakfast with Boom at 10 a.m. this Friday. So check that out, and y'all have a great night, man. Enjoy your games. Have fun, man.
Absolutely.
We're at 836 subs. We need just over 150 more. 164 more subs. Please sub to that man's channel.
Yes, please, so we can play Bucks.
I would greatly appreciate that. I dropped like 3 videos in 2 days, and I'm actually about to drop a couple more tomorrow. So check it out.
All right, awesome, everyone. Thank you again to our guests, Dreamcast Guy and Mooch, and everyone in the live chat. Thank you so much. Appreciate the support as always. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe, hit the bell notification so you're alerted when we go live. We'll be back on BRAP next Wednesday night at 9 p.m. On that note, we're out. Everyone have a great rest of the week. Enjoy your time gaming, and greatness is here. Bye.
Hello, Alloy. Please go over there and pick up 5 shreds